is such high quality. Yeah, both of them. Can go through Wi-Fi is way better. I'll use my laptop. Yeah, what's the CSS? Oh shit, there's an error.
Hi everyone. My name is Janik Mina. I'm going to talk to you about a crisis that's happening. And every year, 20,000 people approximately are either killed or injured by landmine injuries in civilian areas. So not including injuries where it was intended to kill people with landmines, but it was like accidental deaths. So what I have built here with a few of my friends is what I call landmine tracker. So the idea is to get better data on where landmine incidents are occurring, so that a statistician or some military professionals or some sort of organization could advise the public and civilians of areas to avoid or like high concentration areas of undiscovered landmines. So the way we want to go about this is by getting information from three types of users. So the first user here is a public citizen. So that's the average Joe person like myself, who's not a medical professional or military personnel. So when you click on public citizen, it takes you to a report. All the fields are optional, so it just asks you basic data about what happened, or basic information and details about the incident, like where it happened, the date, what country, the date the person was diagnosed versus the date they were discovered, or the date they were injured, because sometimes there's discrepancy between those two dates. The age of the victim, the gender, and the type of explosive. Then they would go ahead and press submit. We made this little alert box which says, the data you have provided us with will be used by a statistician to help civilians avoid life-threatening injuries. We will adjust for inaccuracies, but please try to be as accurate as possible. Thank you for your submission. Then they can either edit or confirm your submission. So the reason why we added that warning was to help avoid people from adding duplicate data or adding dummy data or adding data which was inappropriate and could mess up with our statistics. So now I'll show you the other two options that we have here. Medical professional. So this is either a doctor or nurse. Well, I guess you guys probably know what medical professionals are. And the difference that we have here is we add a different weight to the statistics that have to do with the diagnosis or the type of injury or the type of treatment used would have a greater weight because they're more credible because they're a medical professional. Other than those ones, the other details about the incident is the same. Just accident, location, date, injury, and they also get a warning message. And finally, we have the military personnel. Same idea, but we figured that they may have exact latitudes and longitudes of either where the incident occurred or where the person was diagnosed. But any type of location data could help us round down where high concentrations of landmines are. Also, we added in just the GPS coordinates. So other than that, so what happens with all this data that we collect? We aggregate the data and then sort it out and put it onto a map. So we're able to filter from ages 0 to 122. I picked 122 because that's the person with the record for oldest age. So I'm assuming that was like mom. And then so the GPS coordinates will get mapped onto this map, and over time we would expect to see higher concentrations. Unfortunately, you can also filter by date of when it occurred. Finally, or not finally, so the other few things we have are links, which just give you some more details about the issue. Like, for example, countries with heavy contamination of landmines. And it resonates with me personally because the country that I'm from is actually on this list. And there's other details as well, more statistics, for example, about casualties by explosive type, and so on and so forth. We also have a link for contacting agencies or people that are interested in helping out with landmines. And finally, we have something called download data, which will give you a JSON file with all of the extracted data. Thank you very much.
We're going to hand it over to our panel of judges if they have any criticism or comments or anything like that. For sure. Yeah, you might want to.
So who is your target audience for consuming and using the data?
So the idea is that we would find an organization such as the the Canadian Landmine Foundation, or any other landmine foundation, which would be able to then support the website and maintain it and use the data. So statisticians from the Canadian Landmine Organization may find that data useful.
Is this data not tracked already?
There is data that is tracked, but we found so many inaccuracies with the data. For example, if you searched up how many deaths were occurred in landmines in the last year, you would get numbers that fluctuate by the thousands, or like by the tens of thousands actually. So this is an effort in making more accurate data and increasing data integrity.
Doesn't Twitter do a lot of this?
Yes, there are Twitter accounts that have like dedicated landmine tracking Twitter accounts, and yeah, there is also Twitter.
So if Twitter is, so this looks like there's a lot of friction. So I have to go through a form. I have to fill out, 6, 7 pieces of information, submit. Whereas, I could just send an SMS to my mobile phone. Is that prohibitive?
Just so I understand, you're saying that it's easier to send a text with this data versus getting it from this website through a text.
Correct.
But this data, not only is it, we're adding weights to the data as well. So if we have information about how the person was diagnosed and the type of diagnosis that was used, if we get that information from a medical professional, we'll have a higher weight on that data. So we have more, I guess that also adds to data integrity.
So then how does this ensure that your data is more accurate than the data that already exists?
Because the data is hopefully coming from live incidents of landmine activity rather than like past reports of it. So that's the situation.
You see yourself as a platform for reporting real-time incidents, occurrences. What about aggregating existing data from the United Nations Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International? Are you a standalone platform, or are you also a way to distribute existing points of information?
Right. So when we were developing this app, we also thought maybe it would be useful to have to scrape Twitter for, just like you mentioned, how Twitter does have those accounts that have details. So if we can go through and scrape Twitter for all the landmine incidents, then we could create a map of past incidents as well. But we decided to just stick with making a platform to allow for new data rather than parsing and dealing with old data.
Thank you very much, judges, for your questions. Those are all, that's all the time we have for now. Thank you very much, Landmine Tracker. Our next demo will be Arduino Tetris from the University of Moncton.